I'm Crystal Long. Get ready for an adventure as we rediscover Arizona. There's so many special places to spotlight, whether they're brand new to the valley or an old favorite. Let's go exploring.
We are rediscovering Enchanted Park, where a rare ride has been delighting park goers for decades.
12 News journalist Crystal Long takes us to the historic Enchanted Carousel for a spin.
This charming amusement ride will bring out the kid in all of us. This is the oldest continuously operated carousel in Arizona, thrilling riders for more than 75 years in Phoenix.
Here we go!
My grandparents actually were on this carousel. My parents were on this carousel, and the tradition continues with my kids. Brings back great memories while we're making new ones.
The Enchanted Carousel's home was once known as Kittyland, and now Enchanted Island Amusement Park. In between, the merry-go-round went on a ride of its own.
When the park closed in 1989 around, it was sold off at auction. It was bought by a developer and was going to go to the west side of Phoenix when a group of patrons that loved riding the carousel got together. They proposed a bid to the guy that won the auction that if they raised enough money, could they buy it back from him. So they raised the money and they bought it from him, and so it never actually left.
What makes this a treasure and a tradition in our community?
This is the only Little Beauty carousel, Alan Herschel Beauty, in Arizona. This carousel was built in 1948. During this period, they were half wood and half aluminum because all the aluminum was going towards the war effort.
Why are you passionate about preserving and protecting the Enchanted Carousel?
I'm a real history nut, so I really like nostalgic theme parks, and getting the opportunity to care for one is just a great honor. We enjoy putting smiles on faces and seeing little kids take their first carousel ride or their first train ride or their first time at the amusement park, so we really enjoy it.
Go Cowboys!
And everyone has a favorite horse.
Why this one?
Because it kind of reminds me of Batman.
This is the Arizona horse, and it is my absolute favorite. In Enchanted Island in Phoenix, Crystal Long, 12 News.
Take a look around Chase Field. Do you notice anything that stands out? You can look closer. Closer! It's right there. All right, zoom in. Out of the 48,519 seats, only one is red, and its story shows its deeper meaning.
It really goes back to a time where we were changing our uniform colors, and we were switching from purple and teal to Sedona Red.
Derek Hall has met lots of fans since he became the Diamondbacks president in 2006. However, one fan wasn't happy with the color change in 2007, and he made it known during one of Derek's season ticket holder town halls.
The Sonoran sand complemented by the Sedona Red, and every time I said Sedona Red, a gentleman in the back is throwing his arms up. He's all upset about it.
That fan was Bob Elmer, a season ticket holder for years who sat with his wife in left center field.
So I finally stopped after one of the Sedona Red. I said, Bob, you seem really upset about this. He said, I can't stand it. He said, I'm so tired of you saying Sedona Red. You know, red is red. Stop saying Sedona Red. And I said, so you'll never wear the red. He said, I got you to stop saying Sedona Red. And he said, no, I'm never going to wear it. And I said, I'll tell you what, Bob. And this was in 2007. We were expected to be one of the worst teams in the division. I said, if we win the division this year, and I get you a jersey, will you wear it? And he said, if you win the division, he said, yeah, you bet, I'll do that.
Salazar is there. This should do it, and the game is over.
The D-backs ended up winning the division for the first time in 5 years.
And he sends me a long email. He said, I concede, I give in, I'm willing to wear the red jersey. And so he and his wife came down and we did a little celebration and put on their jerseys, and they had all sorts of merchandise with them, like little bobbleheads, everything in red, and they totally embraced it.
Ever since, Derek and Bob became good friends. Their friendship spanned years, where unfortunately at the same time, Bob was in a back-and-forth battle with cancer.
My phone rings and it's Bob's wife. And she said, we're in the hospital. She said, Bob has not been doing well. In fact, he hasn't really spoken much. She said, but he woke up and he said, I really need to talk to Derek Hall. Could you please call him? And so she said, do you mind speaking to Bob? I said, of course I don't mind speaking to Bob. I look forward to it. So she gives him the phone. And Bob said, Derek, I had a dream. He said, I was floating in the air. He said, like flying in the air. He said, and I looked down and I saw this beautiful place. He said, and as I got a little closer, I realized it was Chase Field. He said the roof was open, the ballpark looked beautiful. As I got down even closer, I could see all the beautiful green seats. And then I got down a little closer and I realized there's one red seat. And he said, as I flew down even closer, I realized it was my seat in section 145. And he said, and there was a little plaque on it that said, Bob Elmer, quote, red is red. And he said, I just ask that when I pass, if you'd consider doing that. And I remember getting extremely emotional with that request. You've got my word, my promise that we'll make that happen. And it was actually the next morning, I believe, that he passed away. And as a result, we have just one red seat in this ballpark, and it says Bob Elmer, red is red.
Bob passed away in 2012, but will always be remembered sitting in seat 12, section 145. As people come by, fans still take the time to acknowledge Bob Elmer's iconic seat.
Fans are part of the family, they're part of the experience and part of the fabric of this place. And that's why, you know, as we're trying to make sure that this can become our permanent home, it's fixtures like this that make it so important that we find a solution to stay here.
Back, if you blink, you might miss it. Just outside Roosevelt Lake sits a roadside stop that is full of history, heart, and yes, a giant pumpkin.
In this week's Rediscover Arizona, we head to Pumpkin Center, a quirky little community with a big personality. 12 News journalist Kyle Shimchuk is introducing us to the woman who's keeping its spirit alive one burger at a time.
If you've ever been to Roosevelt Lake, chances are you've driven right past it.
Many times I've told people Pumpkin Center when I'm in Phoenix, and they'll say, where's that?
8 miles north of the lake off Highway 188 is Pumpkin Center, an unincorporated pocket of Tonto Basin. How it got its name remains a mystery.
I've heard that it was a grandfather that called his granddaughter Pumpkin. I heard it was farmer's market where they had pumpkin growing contests.
Tanya Bridges is the owner of Pumpkin Center Bar and Grill. It's one part watering hole, one part history lesson, and 100% Arizona charm. She's owned the bar and lodge next door for nearly 2 decades.
I came up here to do karaoke for this bar. I kept seeing for sale in the motel, and I went home, talked to my husband. I said, you know, this needs a lot of work. I think we should refinance our house, which we did, buy the motel, and that's how it started. And 2 years later, they were losing the bar, and we bought it.
The bar, originally built in the 1930s, burned down in '92 and was rebuilt with a giant pumpkin on top. Originally a '76 gas station ball.
Yes, I think that's where it came from. And they painted it as a pumpkin.
From an old Pony Express mural to cattle brands etched in concrete, Pumpkin Center is full of unexpected finds and plenty of characters.
We have this gentleman named Lauren, has horses, and he's actually ridden his horse in the side building there into the bar, ordered a 6-pack of beer to go.
Customers don't just stop by for a cold beer. The food here is the real deal.
We have a pulled pork green chili burro that everybody loves. It's one of our big sellers. We have the best hamburgers, people say.
There's even a bridge burger named after the newly constructed Tonto Creek Bridge.
So we have fishermen, we have boaters, we have quad riders.
Of course, it takes a lot of work running a bar and lodge. At 75 years old, Bridges is ready to pass the torch.
I'm tired, and I've been doing this for a long time, and it's just time for me to enjoy what I have left.
The bar and lodge are on the market, but Bridges plans to hold on to her house, which is the old post office.
It's a small, great community. Everybody, no matter what happens here, somebody needs help, everybody steps up and helps them.
So whether you're riding in on a Harley, a horse, or just hungry, Pumpkin Center is definitely worth the stop. For Rediscover Arizona, I'm Kyle Shimchuk.
Welcome back. Rediscovering Arizona tonight, we take you east of the valley to get a look at what many consider to be two of the most beautiful structures in our state.
That's right. Troy Hayden takes us to the Roosevelt Lake Dam and Roosevelt Lake Bridge. I've never been to either.
Oh, beautiful spot. The Roosevelt Dam is named after President Teddy Roosevelt, who actually traveled to the then territory of Arizona, dedicated back in 1911. So we were there on a different story at the lake, but when we saw for the dam down here, the beautiful dam and the beautiful bridge behind it, we had to stop and take a closer look.
An important part of your Salt River system here. What's this?
Exactly. This is Theodore Roosevelt Dam, and it stores or impounds Roosevelt Lake, which stores up to, over 1 million acre-feet of water. This is the piece of infrastructure where SRF kind of collects and maintains a lot of its water storage system on the Salt River.
And it was just raised, wasn't it? So you can actually see where it's been raised.
That's correct. Roosevelt Dam was raised in the early to mid-90s to have the ability to store some of the additional water that the Salt River experiences. It's kind of a flashy system, meaning that we experience periods when it receives a lot of inflows and periods of times when we don't, and this allows us the flexibility to store that water, giving us some water resiliency. This is the bridge that was built when the dam was raised. I mean, not too dissimilar to some of the dams that we see on the Colorado River.
It's a beautiful bridge.
It is. It's a beautiful piece of infrastructure, and it gives you wonderful views of this wonderful part of the state.
And it's unique, right, in terms of its length?
It is. I think it's over 1,000 feet long. It's a double lane, arched bridge, unique for the area and one of the longest bridges of its type.
What is this water used for?
This water is used for you and me to consume. It's delivered down into the valley to water treatment plants where it's used for municipal use and agricultural use.
It really is a great spot. So depending on where you are in the valley, it's about an hour and a half to a 2-hour drive away. And how about this? Along with the Brooklyn Bridge and the Golden Gate Bridge, Roosevelt Lake Bridge was listed by a national engineering firm as one of the top 12 bridge designs in the entire U.S. So you might want to head up there sometime to check it out, Mark Caribe. Good stuff.
I like it.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Troy.
The cutest story that you will see today. Rediscover Arizona is going shopping at Phoenix's oldest and largest hat shop. It's been fitting and fashioning locals, travelers, and celebrities for decades.
And now 12 News journalist Crystal Long, she's like, you know what? I got to go there. I got to get, get a good hat.
Yeah.
Whether you're dressing up, hanging, poolside, or you've gone country, Heritage Hats has all of the hats you could ever dream up, with thousands in store, all kinds of accessories, and custom services.
We're the largest hat shop in the Southwest. We started this out of the back of my 1978 Datsun pickup truck, and we started doing the rodeo circuit, and then the second year I was able to start my first store. I have been here 41 years. Our showroom is 3,200 square feet. This is the Western and the cap room. The next room back is the hiking hats, Panama hats, the 1920s, 30s fedoras, all the leather hats, pretty much every kind of hat that they make we have in stock. Let's get some steam going here. We not only sell hats, but we service hats. These are blocks. These are from 1910, and the hat actually fits over the block, and then I can hand shape it. And then if I'm actually custom making a hat, this hat will fit inside of a flange, and then we press it and reshape the brim. Then all the hats we just kind of seam, and then we add a stain guard to protect the felt or the straw.
How rare of an art is hat making?
Full service hat shops, they're very rare anymore because of Amazon and places like that. The little mom and pop shops are closing up.
What are some of the hottest hats right now?
Right now, the younger guys are really into the Western hats.
Tell me about the style I'm wearing.
That is a handmade Panama. Those are all handmade down in Ecuador. That one probably takes about a day and a half because of all the colors they have to intertwine.
Who are some of your famous customers?
Frank Lloyd Wright. I restored all of his hats that are now in his museum. Ronald Reagan, who is our president. I made a couple hats for him. Nancy Reagan's mom lived down by the Biltmore, and Nancy Reagan sent a Secret Service guy in to order some hats. The hats I made for President Reagan are now in the Reagan Library. Wallace and Ladmo, which everybody would remember. I did all their hats for their show. And then if you remember the TV show cast of Glee, I furnished all the hats for Glee.
Recognize this hat from Indiana Jones? The next time you're out for a new adventure, swing by Heritage Hats. In Phoenix, Crystal Long, 12 News. Thanks for watching. You can catch more Rediscover Arizona stories streaming on 12 Plus and on 12news.com.